The tale starts in the peaceful hills where an unusual child called Krog resides with his relatives. Krog is not an ordinary child. He has the ability to transform into creatures. Usually he exists as a puma. He has the power to turn human, but his relatives dislike when he does this often. There is one firm law in Krog's existence: never approach humans. His relatives think humans are harmful. That is why they reside far off, concealed in the hills. But as Krog gets bigger, his interest gets more intense. He begins thinking, what are humans truly like? Why are we concealing ourselves from them? One day, Krog at last violates the law. He abandons his relatives and goes into the human realm. Shortly afterward, a generous human pair discovers him. They believe he is simply a missing child. Feeling sympathy for him, they choose to adopt him. Krog now possesses a different human family, a comfortable home, and also brothers and sisters. Initially, everything seems ordinary. One sunrise, while having breakfast with his different family, Krog observes the news on television. The news is troubling. There have been puzzling creature attacks, creatures acting oddly, incidents including various species. Nobody understands why this is occurring. Krog feels worried. Something regarding this seems known. That identical day, Krog gets ready to attend his different school. He says farewell to his adoptive father and brothers and sisters. Then he climbs into the vehicle with his adoptive mother, Anna. His sister, Melody, abruptly chooses to join along also. She does not want to miss the journey. As they move along the road, Krog observes something odd. Two dark crows are soaring above the vehicle. They do not depart. They continue pursuing them. Krog cannot stop gazing at them. A notion comes into his thoughts. What if they resemble me? What if they are form changers also? As evening arrives, the family halts at a little hotel to sleep. Krog wishes the odd sensation will at last disappear, but it does not. Deep that evening, an odd sound awakens him. He carefully walks to the glass and gazes out. What he observes astonishes him. A group of wolves is moving quickly down the road, going into a shadowy passage. At the identical moment, the lights in the structure across the street abruptly switch off. Krog's pulse begins speeding. He understands this is not ordinary. The following sunrise, the family returns on the road. After many hours of traveling, they at last arrive at their location, Clearwater High School. As soon as Krog exits out of the vehicle, he stops moving. The two crows that pursued them the whole journey are positioned right there, but now they are pupils. In that instant, Krog understands his sensation was correct throughout. Before he can respond, the school leader, Lisa, approaches to them with a friendly expression. She greets Krog and then gazes at Anna with interest. She inquires, "How did you discover him?" Anna softly clarifies everything. She states that nothing was ever understood about Krog's actual parents. Many years back, when she was employed as a social worker, she received a telephone call about a youngster in trouble. When she discovered Krog, he was frightened and trembling. She could not abandon him, so she brought him to her house and afterward persuaded her husband to adopt him. As Krog became bigger, he constantly felt unusual in the town. When it was the moment for middle school, Anna got a letter inviting Krog to Clearwater High. She thought this school would assist him at last belong and create friendships. After listening to the tale, Lisa agrees and expresses joy. Then she requests to talk to Krog by himself. Once they are separated from the others, Lisa reveals him the reality. At this school, everybody is a form changer. Krog does not need to conceal any longer. For the initial moment in his existence, he senses like he actually fits. But before he can also absorb it all, the school warning abruptly activates. Lisa hurries outside to verify what's occurring. And that is when she observes something concerning. Anna and Melody are peacefully moving through a forbidden section of the school. She is not pleased. Lisa rapidly commands her helper to guide them off of the grounds immediately. Back within, Krog is totally impressed. This is the initial moment in his existence he has observed so numerous form changes assembled in one location. As he moves through the corridors, he abruptly collides with Jeffrey and his group. The atmosphere becomes strained immediately. Both groups lock gazes, and it seems like a conflict could start at any instant. But before anything occurs, James advances in and halts them. Shortly afterward, the school conducts an official greeting ceremony. When it finishes, Anna embraces Krog and says farewell. She and Melody return to the vehicle just as Andrew comes. Andrew is a wealthy and influential person. He is the individual who finances the whole school. Krog encounters Andrew briefly afterward. Throughout their conversation, Krog confesses something very private. He states he departed the hills because he sensed there was more to existence than simply being a puma. If he had remained there permanently, he would never have discovered who he actually was. Afterward, Krog arrives at his bedroom. Lisa clarifies the fundamental school laws and then abandons him by himself. Abruptly, a squirrel shows up at his glass. Krog permits it within and rapidly understands it is not an ordinary squirrel. It is Holly. She has been given as his instructor and will assist him in his initial transformation lesson. In lesson, the instructor provides a stern caution. Pupils can solely utilize their abilities throughout lessons. and most significantly, humans must never observe them transform. Then Krog is selected to demonstrate his abilities in view of everybody, but just before he can transform, Brandon advances ahead. Brandon is a bison form changer. He changes into his creature shape, but cannot remain human for extended. He rapidly becomes uncontrolled, generating disorder in the space. Observing this, Krog begins sensing uncertain. He senses separated from his creature aspect, and chooses not to transform. With Lisa's assistance, Krog gradually recalls his history. He observes himself moving freely through the woodland with his actual family. Those recollections strike deeply. That bond awakens something within him. And at last, Krog transforms. At that instant, the leader instructs everybody in the space to do the identical. That is when Krog understands the reality. Most of the pupils here are wolves. Lisa clarifies his actual purpose. At this school, he will discover how to balance his human aspect and his creature aspect. One day, he might become a connection between both realms. Afterward that night, Krog sleeps in his space, attempting to handle everything. Abruptly, Brandon appears. He informally declares that he is Krog's different roommate. Not extended afterward, Holly taps on the entrance and informs them it is the moment for supper. In the dining hall, Krog encounters Dorian, a child who can change into a feline. Dorian tells his tale. Before arriving to the school, he resided as a companion with a human family. Everything was acceptable until they discovered him opening a container of sardines with his fingers. After Krog showed his creature shape, numerous pupils begin honoring him, but some are also frightened of him. For the less strong pupils, simply standing close to him seems frightening. One little child who can change into a small horse attempts to remain unobserved, but he encounters Jeffrey and his wolf group. The circumstance becomes harmful quickly. Krog does not hesitate. He advances in to defend the child. This solely creates things more difficult. The wolves attempt to frighten him, but James comes just in the moment and ends the conflict. That evening, Crow imagines about his family, but abruptly a strong crash awakens him. Brandon has transformed in his rest and totally ruined his bed. Brandon finds it amusing and states it occurs once or twice a week. Krog understands his evenings here will not be as calm as he wished. The following day, throughout battle lesson, Brandon and Borta are selected to battle, but Brandon declines. He states he is a pacifist and departs. The instructor then selects Krog. Krog still questions himself. Observing this, Andrew advances in and passes him a little bag. Within is PUMA liquid. The instant Krog inhales it, something breaks. He transforms immediately. Even though Borta is significantly larger, Krog shifts quicker, hits more forcefully, and battles with complete determination. In the conclusion, he succeeds. Following, it is Dorian's chance, but the terrible odor from his rival makes the feline flee, surrendering the battle. At the conclusion of lesson, Andrew comes to Krog. Amazed by what he observed, he creates him a proposal. Andrew desires to become Krog's instructor. To demonstrate he trusts in him, Andrew also provides Krog the bag of PUMA liquid, stating the child has a promising future coming, but somebody is not pleased about this. Jeffrey observes everything from far away. Observing the school's supporter prefer a different pupil fills him with envy, so he contests Krog. Jeffrey assures that if Krog can defeat the wolves in a battle, they will abandon him by himself permanently. That afternoon, Krog encounters his companions in the treehouse and informs them everything. Brandon is concerned and cautions him that battling might get him removed, but Krog has experienced enough of the mockery. He declines to retreat. Holly assures to remain by his direction, and even though Brandon is anxious, he confesses he cannot wait to observe the wolves at last receive what they merit. That evening, the three of them slip out of the bedrooms. Before departing, Krog inhales the bag to awaken his creature aspect and transforms. When they arrive at the battle location, Krog inquires who he will be battling. That is when he understands the reality. It is a deception. Not two wolves, but Jeffrey and his whole group. Still, Krog does not flee. He is more powerful than any of them individually, but the wolves strike together. They leap him from the rear and accumulate on all immediately. Observing Krog in trouble, Holly forces Brandon off a ledge, requiring him to jump down and assist. While Brandon distracts the group, Krog battles back with everything he possesses. In the conclusion, the wolves have no option but to withdraw. Jeffrey is conquered. The following sunrise, James observes multiple injured pupils and sends them directly to the medical room. Their justifications are feeble. It is clear they battled throughout the evening. Just as Krog is about to be summoned in by the leader, something surprising occurs. Andrew invites him out for a journey. Throughout the travel, Krog understands Andrew already understands what occurred. Andrew informs him the reality. A genuine puma should not have required assistance, also against 4 wolves. Because Krog departed his actual family too soon, he never discovered how to pursue. So Andrew chooses to instruct him. He desires to change Krog into a genuine hunter. When they come back, Lisa halts them. Upset, she prohibits Andrew from providing Krog any unique handling. She cautions Krog straight. If he desires to remain at the school, he must obey the laws and never battle outside of lesson again. Afterward, Holly and Brandon hurry over to verify on him. That is when Krog observes Lou moving into the woodland and chooses to pursue her. Together, they listen to instructors discussing about the recent creature strikes. They are certain form changes are responsible for them. If humans discover the reality, harmony between the two realms will be finished. That is why Lisa and the council must halt the strikes at any expense. On the path back, Krog admits something significant. Throughout his road journey, he observed wolves striking humans in a close town. He is certain it was Jeffrey's group. The following day, Andrew maintains his assurance and brings Krog into the woodland. He instructs him how to pursue. Initially select the target, then observe it thoroughly and at last hit at the proper instant. Krog accomplishes and captures a deer. They divide the food. On the path back, Andrew reveals himself. He once possessed a daughter. If she had survived, she would be Krog's age. Afterward at break, Lou observes Krog is not consuming. He informs her he already pursued that sunrise. Listening to this, Lou becomes silent and departs. She recalls the day a puma struck her mother, causing her severely injured. Sensing responsible, Krog pursues her into the woodland, attempting to correct things, but he cannot reach her. That evening, Krog listens to cries outside his glass. It is Jeffrey's group. Doubtful, he pursues them to the closest town. There, he observes the wolves frighten away a protector and slip into a building. Just as he is about to face them, they attack him. But before a battle can begin, Andrew shows up. He halts everything, commands the wolves into the vehicle, and transports them all back to the school. After that, Andrew requests Krog to remain after with him by himself. That is when the reality at last emerges. Andrew confesses he is the individual responsible for the recent creature strikes. Listening to this destroys Krog's emotions. He senses deceived and understands he may never have believed Andrew initially. Andrew then reveals himself about his history. Many years back, his wife and young daughter were murdered by a shooter in the woodland. Since that day, Andrew has existed with strong rage toward humans. He thinks humans have controlled over nature, demolished homes, and forced numerous creatures to disappearance. For 50 years, the school council attempted to direct humans to defend nature. But nothing succeeded. Things solely became more difficult. So Andrew chose to respond on his own. Throughout supper, a woman comes to provide food. Krog observes she possesses a mechanical limb. Andrew clarifies she is a snake form changer who was struck by a vehicle while in creature shape. That is when Andrew invites Krog to participate in his strategy. Krog declines. He states he does not desire anybody to become injured. Andrew responds that he does not desire to murder humans. He solely desires to demolish their equipment and delay projects that demolish creature homes. Krog states he will consider it and consents to maintain the secret temporarily. The following sunrise, Krog assists Brandon practice in the woodland. The bison moves wildly, breaking through trees. Abruptly, Brandon becomes struck by a vehicle. The vehicle belongs to Krog's adoptive parents, who arrive to see him. Worrying, Krog hurries over and invites them within to conceal what just occurred. Within his space, Anna notices a squirrel searching through Krog's possessions. The leader rapidly scolds her, reminding her that visits must obey firm laws. Before departing, Anna informs Krog she will remain in a close town for the weekend and requests him to participate with her. Krog happily consents. Afterward, Andrew telephones Krog and invites him to a unique occasion, that identical weekend. Krog declines and creates it obvious he does not agree with injuring humans. Andrew disconnects without a statement. Sensing worried, Krog goes into the woodland to clear his thoughts and practice transforming. Many hours afterward, Wing discovers him concerned. Abruptly, a flying device shows up in the atmosphere. Wing identifies it immediately. It belongs to a shooter, and pursuing dogs have already been freed. Krog moves and conceals in the treetops, but the flying device pursues him. To rescue him, Wing demolishes the flying device and informs Krog to continue moving. After an extended escape, Krog at last falls from tiredness. That is when Shadow, one of the Crow girls, shows up and gives him garments so he can change back into human shape. With assistance from his companions, Krog creates it back toward the school. But just before arriving at grounds, he loses awareness. Andrew discovers him and brings him to his residence to sleep. When Krog awakens, he informs Andrew about the shooter. A hurtful notion strikes him. What if the identical thing that occurred to Andrew's family also occurred to his actual family? That fear alters everything. Krog chooses to agree with Andrew's strategy and participate in his battle. Before their initial task, Andrew shows something astonishing. He has already sent form changers to look for Krog's actual family. If they are surviving, he assures they will discover them. Shortly afterward, Krog receives a telephone call from Anna. She terminates their weekend journey, stating she possesses a significant meeting. At the identical moment, Brandon and Holly appear concerned about him. They attempt to communicate to Krog, but he has already begun distancing himself from them. Shortly afterward, Krog departs with Andrew and the others toward the excavation. Once they come, Andrew divides the collection. Krog is instructed to frighten woodland creatures away from the section. Jeffrey and the wolves are expected to require the laborers out, so nobody becomes injured. Initially, Krog pursues away a few rabbits, but then his emotions almost halt. He understands his adoptive parents are sheltering close. Frightened, Krog telephones Andrew immediately. Andrew peacefully states he observed them far away in the basin and assures they are protected. Still, Krog senses something is incorrect. The wolves frighten the laborers so severely that they escape in a vehicle. As soon as the humans depart, Derek ascends into the vehicle to free the accumulated wood. Krog pleads him to halt. If the wood descends, his family might perish. At that instant, Brandon and Holly come to agree with Krog. Things become also more strained. Then Shadow and Wing show up soaring above. The wolves worry. They do not desire to be informed or removed, so they desert the task and flee. Now Lou advances in and attempts to negotiate with Derek. She informs him demolishing everything will solely create humans battle back more forcefully. But Derek does not pay attention. He forces Lou. That infuriates the crows, who strike him immediately. Furious, Derek transforms into a grizzly animal. Brandon leaps in to defend his companions. Holly participates in the battle. Krog, now in his puma shape, succeeds to throw Derek out of the vehicle. Just then, Andrew advances in. He eliminates the wood blocking the circles. The vehicle begins to shift. Krog understands Andrew is permitting the wood to descend. Sensing deceived, Andrew strikes Krog and the two start to battle, but abruptly Krog observes the wood rolling down the ledge, directly toward the basin where his family is. He halts battling and moves. The wood crashes violently down the hill. Anna yells for everybody to conceal, but Melody does not listen to her. She is using headphones. By the moment Melody observes, it is too delayed. The wood are already arriving. She yells. At the final moment, Krog, still in puma shape, jumps ahead and forces her out of the direction. Anna moves to Melody, weeping with comfort when she observes her surviving. Melody, trembling, states a puma rescued her. Her father claims she must be creating it. Instants afterward, Lou and the others discover Krog positioned unconscious in the woodland. For a frightening moment, they believe he is deceased. Then the large feline opens his vision. Everybody breathes again. As soon as he can shift, Krog hurries to verify on his family. That is when Andrew appears, acting he came just in the moment. He rapidly telephones a helicopter to bring the family to the medical facility. Fortunately, they all endure. Once his parents are protected, Krog explodes in rage. He threatens to inform the head leader that Andrew is responsible for the strikes. Andrew then provides a frightening strike. He has discovered Krog's actual family in the Yellowstone Hills, and he will solely show their position if Krog remains silent. Just then, Lisa comes. Andrew blames everything on Derek, stating he arranged the strike. Lisa is not completely persuaded, but police sounds are becoming nearer. She departs, assuring a complete examination. Back at the school, Krog and his companions are greeted as champions. Information of what they accomplished has distributed everywhere, but behind the celebrations, Krog understands the reality. The battle is not finished yet. If you liked this summary, do not forget to subscribe to my channel to get more movies recap, and inform me what you consider about this movie in the comments.